do one with Dan Smotz next week. And
Dan was
I'm going to try.
I thought Dan was going to hop in tonight, but he ended up not doing it.
He couldn't do it.
He talked about it. He talked about being able to hop in after.
Dan's a coward. Dan's a coward.
Dan's a fucking coward.
Dan's a coward.
Pussy.
Oh,
pussy.
now I'm not as good a video producer as Dan, or I'd make a really cool Dan Smotz as a coward video.
No, he's going to make one of this roasting us.
You are fat and stupid.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, Shannon in the comments, Richard Monk in the comments, other people in the comments. Get in the comments if you're not in the comments, because we're back and we are live and we are geared up and ready to go for another week. And yes, sometimes you got to do the apocalypse news a little bit early in the week because the threatening, looming apocalypse, I'm just concerned that we won't get another episode in before the world actually does end. So we're here early. Actually, it's mostly because of Dave Smith coming in on Wednesday night, and I don't want to do 2 episodes, 2 live streams in a day. Kill that music, jeez. Okay, yeah, we're here, we're back. We're gonna talk about some news and observe the things going on in the world. Before we do that, we got to roll this nice little intro and get you guys all warmed up and pumped and ready to go, like Alex W., who in the comments says, "Let's go." Let's go, Alex W., and all the rest of you. Let's go get weird.
All I ask is, if we have to give these bastards our lives, we give them hell before we do!
The tragedy of our day is the climate of fear in which we live.
Talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing.
I would ask the congressman to withdraw that comment and tell us that he didn't really mean that. I don't know what I said. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The Bible commands that certain people be put to death.
Thieves or possesses weapons of mass destruction. 9/11 attacks were carried out by Al-Qaeda.
Handle the truth.
I remember that with Matthew Holmes. We are still here!
We have to say yes to socialism.
No, it's a big club, and you ain't in it.
It is indeed a big club. You're not in that one. None of us are. None of us are. Well, some of you are, because I know some of y'all out there, some of you lizard people are watching this show. You're watching it just enough to ban it at least, or shadow ban it according to some people in the comments, like Shannon. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web. It's The System Is Down, where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, religion, the news, culture, all those things. All the things your family prays you don't bring up around the Thanksgiving dinner table, and so much more. Now, before we get into today's episode, which is going to be a doozy, it's going to be fun as the world ends literally around us. Before we get into that, I got to remind you guys about our sponsors. First and foremost being y'all in the Downers Club. People like Magoo, Alex W., Break the Bell, Sean-Luc Picard. We've got Mike Stonehouse. I'm trying to get some different ones than I normally do, but instead I'm just going to talk over myself. Anthony Peebles, Jack Casey. Who the hell is that? Anthony Meyer, Mitchell something, Tim Brown, Aaron Stute, Trenton Campbell, and others. If you'd like to get your name on that list and possibly get it read, if I'm feeling awake enough to get to all of them, go on over to patreon.com/The System Is Down and sign up for as little as the cost of 1 super chat per month. That is $5 per month, because YouTube hates me and doesn't let me super chat, and never has, because of some of the fun topics I'd like to talk about on here. So if you want to be just as based and possibly more based than anything YouTube will ever allow, and you'll get the completely full uncensored stuff, the more weird, the more raw, the more offensive, more weekly content over at patreon.com/The System Is Down and stuff. That's right. Weekly at bonus episodes every week, as weekly would denote. Now we have a couple other things. We do have a sponsor called Jack Casey. I don't know who this guy is or what he wrote, but he's got some books, I hear, and one of them is slightly offensive. The others are probably pretty mundane. I'll never know because there's like a million pages there to read through, and I'm not going to get to any of them. But if you want to read the Royal Green series, you can go check that out at jackcaseybooks.com or get his newest, most entertaining, and most digestible, because it's only 100 pages, book WVW at jackcaseybooks.com, and get yourself offended today at jackcaseybooks.com. We are also sponsored by our shirt store, of course, thesystemsdown.tv/store. You can get such wonderful shirts like the Ryle Kitten House Defense Attack Cats shirt, established 2020. You can get the Revolution Will Not Be Televised. It will be podcasted. Let's see what else we got here. We've got the, of course, Let's Go Brandon Classic. We've got Hail Meta. We've got Soylent 19. That's my personal favorite. Soylent 19. The vaccine is people, because as we all know, the vaccine is people. Get those and so many more over at thesystemsdown.tv/store while we still are allowed to do that in this society. That's enough. Kratom and stuff. freeounceofkratom.com. Go get it. Whatever. Now, we do have a guest host today. He has been here before, and he has recently outed himself as an evil flat-tard. So we're going to talk to him. His name, maybe you've heard of it, perhaps you haven't. It's Flat-Tard Jack Casey. Jack Casey, everybody. How's it going, Jack? Simple Jack.
Yes, I'm out of the flat closet.
It's nice to have you out here. I'm still somewhat. Do you consider it out of the flat closet if you are like open to it and love the idea, but just can't quite throw away the entirety of the rest of your credibility by going with it?
Yeah, exactly. There's like a spectrum of how mentally, emotionally ready to process. Yeah, it took me a while. I was first looking into it in 2019, and I reached a point where I was like, I'm not ready for this. Put it in a little box, tucked it away for a couple of years, would peek at it now and then and have a big question mark, and then I ripped that box back open and went, holy shit, I think that's fucking flat.
I like it, and you've got more balls than I do, because I certainly have a flat closet that I step into and out of, as many people know on this show.
No joke.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, no joke. I mean, now that I've been more open about it, I've had at least a couple now people come to me privately and go, "Hey, I've seen some stuff too. I can't talk about it because my career or my campaign or something like that will just go in the tank." So I figure I've got less to lose, right? I'm just a crazy writer spouting stuff on the internet. I will bear this burden. I will carry the ring.
We all thank you. We all silently, secretly thank you, sir, for your work. For those that missed it, Jack was on David Feit's Fight for Liberty the other night, and he debated the flat Earth. And I think we'll save that and talk about it more in the after party if you're able to stick around for that, because I would like to dig deep into the flat Earth with you. But we got to talk about some news today. Before we get into the news, though, you do have, since you've been here the last time, you have like at least one new book out. I think you were here last time before the third and the Royal Green was even out, and that's out. And now we've got WVW. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this latest installment?
Yeah, WVW. That amazing trailer gives a nice spooky teaser. It's dark, weird comedy fun, political satire. As you can tell by that, the premise: werewolves, witches, and vampires have taken over society, and we all think that's normal. We think it's okay that they drink our blood. We pay the blood gift, aka taxes. Werewolves are prowling the street, violently enforcing the law and curfew and ripping people's throats out. But of course, they have transformation immunity, which protects them from repercussions. And then witches are brewing potions at their at your local craft pharmacy, witchcraft pharmacy, and pushing them on the public. And so it let's just say it has some parallels, and I'm having a lot of fun. Not only with the first 100-page little teaser pilot thing to get you started, but I'm working on some more, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to reading more. How do you feel about writing the only book that I've read basically since high school?
I'm proud. I kind of want like a little badge.
Maybe I'll make you a
I got
plaque.
Dan Smotz to read. Yeah.
I might be the only person who did read it, but at least I did read it. No, I thought it was great, and it does trigger all.
Thank you, man.
I always want to say all the right people, but it kind of triggers everybody in a beautiful way. There were some points where I'm like, ugh.
Yes.
And I was texting you even, being like, hey, good job, because there would be some parts that I'd come across from like, I don't know, and then
me too.
I think about it more, and I'm like, well, isn't that the fucking point? It wasn't supposed to trigger everybody except Dan. It was supposed to trigger everybody, so deal with it.
Yeah. I was aiming at you first, but no. Yeah, even me too, man. I looked at some of that and I was like, oh man, I'm publishing this? Okay.
Yeah,
I was offended by me.
Once that book comes out, I mean, what do you have to lose in calling yourself a flat earther? Because the worst has already been done.
Yeah, exactly. I'll probably work that in there too.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I think like, like you've seen and many others, a lot of us have reached that point where we're just kind of out of fucks to give. We're ready to just say what we think, be funny and weird. If people don't get the joke or can't follow along, that's their loss. We're going to have fun. To hell with it, man. We're
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of how I feel about this show, and I say it all the time. Like, are we gonna cower in our bunkers and like wait for the world to end, or are we just gonna laugh our way to I mean, the world's gonna end either way, so we might as well just laugh in the face at the power until it shoots us. So
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Anyway, we'll table some of the flat earth stuff. If you guys want to hear more on that, go listen to that debate or stick around for the after party. And if you haven't, join the Downers Club. Get in there before the end of this and let me know so you can go watch it live while we talk about the crazy flat earth stuff. But as I mentioned earlier, we're doing this early this week, not just because the world is ending, but because Dave Smith is going to be on the show on Wednesday night. Yes, it is real this time. I'm actually not trolling you. As long as he shows up.
That was amazing, by the way.
Thank you. The time is officially set for 7:30 corn time on Wednesday, so definitely tune in for that, and we'll see what happens. But I didn't want to pack 2 live streams into one day, and I've been toying around with maybe moving my Wednesday shows to a different day, because if I do any interviews at the beginning or the end of the week, it feels like they're too close together. If I have one that has to be in the middle of the week, whatever. You guys don't care. What you want is the news and the jokes, so we'll get to those. Jack, are you ready for figuring out what's going on in the world?
Let's do it. Let it rip.
Right on. So, we, as I always say, we start out with the nice and happy news, and this time it actually is nice and happy. Jack, did you hear about this Defeat the Mandates rally thing in D.C., who has kind of a generic name to it that nobody could ever remember? Is it Fight the Mandates? Is it Defeat the Mandates? I don't know, but it's been buzzing around. Did you hear about this thing?
It seems like maybe vaguely, but I haven't seen any footage or anything real yet, so I haven't looked into it.
Yeah,
that's good if it's happening.
Yeah, it happened yesterday, I believe. I believe it was Saturday and Sunday, or maybe just Sunday. I don't remember which day, but what I thought was cool, and I can't believe I didn't know it beforehand, but somebody played at this event that you guys might be familiar with.
I have the pleasure of introducing our next artist. You may have heard his music recently on Glenn Beck or The High Wire.
Or the System Is Down podcast.
Del Bigtree. His latest single, Sad Little Man, has reached #1 on Apple Music and the Amazon charts. Shout out Big Tech. Please welcome Brad from 5 Times August singing Silent War.
This is beautiful, y'all. I'm honored to be here today. This song goes out to everybody fighting for truth.
For those that missed it, Brad from 5 Times August was just on the show at the end of last week, the same night, coincidentally, that Jack was doing his Flat Earth debate and exposing himself to the flat tard that he is. But 5 Times August, dude, he's an awesome guy. If you haven't checked out that episode, definitely go do it. I'm not going to play this whole thing for you, but it might bring a tear to my eye if I play the whole thing again, because it did earlier. Just this rally and seeing the support coming out for this, and that is awesome, for one. But for two, like, the way the media has covered this has been so minimal, and the only things that they've said is like, this is an anti-vax rally, and a bunch of they've called it a conspiracy theory anti-vax rally, and discrediting all these people. And then when the thing actually happens and there's no like upset or anything, why are they talking about it now? They're not talking about anything except for Robert F. Kennedy. He had a little spiel that was like comparing it to the Holocaust. I'll save it. Talk about that in a minute. But let's listen to just a bit of this.
Freedom, our kids, the future, all of you who showed up today, everybody watching all around the world. This is called Silent War.
Brad, please don't give me a strike for this.
Somebody's selling a new religion. Somebody's selling a lie. Somebody wants all the strife and division. It's driving us out of our minds.
We got to pause here and give some commentary so that YouTube knows this is commentary. We're not infringing on Brad's rights.
Yes,
Jack, what do you think so far?
That's right. I'm already like pulled in. I'm feeling the beginning of a heart flutter. I can feel where this is going, and I'm digging it.
Mm-hmm. Amen. That was commentary, YouTube. Shut up.
That's right.
Trust their own eyes. Telling the people we're wrong. They're keeping the truth for their power and gain. And taking whatever we've got.
All right, that's enough of Brad. Moving on. The other people that were there, you might be familiar with them as well.
Say save them, y'all say children, save them, save them. When I say stop them, y'all say mandates, stop them, stop them. Make some noise, America. Let's go.
And that goes into this.
Everyone sing it with us.
Oh yeah, if you missed it, Jimmy Levy and High Rez were both on this show recently as well. So that's cool that all our boys are out there making a name and getting the word out and standing up, actually putting their time and their money where their mouth is, basically, to get out there and protest this thing, which I think is awesome. Jack, what are your thoughts? Anything?
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that when creative talents, music, other stuff can align with political willpower and other, purposeful goals. That's awesome. Because I think that helps.
Yeah.
If we're just yelling at the clouds. Yeah.
Right. I like I mentioned in the 5 Times August interview, it's like he writes like these folksy political protest songs, basically. And it's like, where is that in today's day and age? Like in art in general, when the establishment and the powers that be are doing, like, it's easier than ever to be against the mainstream narrative and be against you can be an accidental rebel. You can just walk out of your house without a mask on and suddenly you're a bad person. But we've got all these talents and all these musicians that have been fuck the system all this time now being like, well, we're going to kick our band members out that we've had in our band for the last 30 years because they won't get vaccinated because of their medical conditions. So, like, I don't know, where is the protest? Where are these things? Why is it that all of the people that are protesting, like, I can get these people on my show, my tiny little stupid show, because there's so few of them? I don't know. It's just weird how few people. Eric Clapton, I guess he came out against it too, and we'll talk about him later. But Jack, you got any thoughts about the cowards in art these days?
Yeah, we're finding out who the real ones are. The people who were just talk and the people who are showing up when it counts. And it's kind of cool because it is, in some sense, like, what do you want to call it? Like a second society within a society, or we're finding more people pooling their resources, talents, making new friends, making new family, like people finding the ones who see what they're seeing and banding together and going, maybe we don't need the rest of society. We can just
kill them all.
Kind of.
Jack Casey calls for genocide against the vaccinated.
We will live
we don't
separate
need
but
them,
equal lives
quote,
to them.
Jack Casey.
Yes, if they're going to forcefully segregate us from their society, we'll just make a better one, and we will team up and unite and ignore their stupid rules anyway, and trade with each other and make better music and cooler songs and cooler books. And that's what we'll do.
Absolutely. And speaking of making things bigger and better, there's been a lot of rumbling going on about some alt tech platforms like Getter and Gab and Minds and whatever, Rumble. Are you familiar with Getter, Jack?
I know that's the new one people were jumping on, but I'm not even on Twitter yet, so right. I'm kind of behind on that.
Yeah, I maybe just skip right over Twitter and we'll just all go straight to Gab. So Tim Pool had on the dude from Getter. There was a lot of like buzz around Getter being like promoting itself as this free speech platform and being different from Twitter, and then there was a lot of people saying, oh no, they've worked with Chinese assets or whatever, Chinese agents and blah blah. I don't know all the accusations, but you don't really know what accusations you can trust and which ones are just slanderous to try and shut this thing down, like they did with Parler, like they did with Gab in the early years. Like anything that goes against the mainstream is an alt-right platform, which is kind of what Gab has been painted as, so much so that I have kind of not had a presence on there. But maybe some of this stuff will change you guys' mind, because Tim Pool had on Jason Miller, who's the CEO of Getter, and that was on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday, and then the next night he had on the CEO of Gab, and we're going to watch just a little bit of this so you guys know kind of the difference of what these platforms offer.
Say that people will not be treated differently, but a lot of people are asking why Nick Fuentes was banned from Getter, and what we're hearing is everybody saying he did not break any of your rules.
Would disagree on that. It's there was a post that he put on Getter that was interpreted from our position as recruiting people who are in the white nationalist space, and that's not something when it comes to one of the white nationalist groups that we're going to allow to happen on Getter. And look, I'm not going to allow.
What was the statement? What did he say?
He was effectively reaching out and are there other groypers that are on here?
How would you define a groyper?
As a white nationalist.
But you don't allow white nationalists on Getter?
Well, anyone can come on and join the play except for terrorists. We ban terrorists. We do not allow terrorists. And we've gone through and found the Twitter handles and other things for the Ayatollah or Hamas or Hezbollah or some of these other folks and block those accounts on Getter so they can't go and create it. Obviously, someone could try to work around and find it, but if we find that, we're going to go and kick it off. But if you're, the way that we look at it, if you're part of a group that the only reason for existing is to go and try to cause harm to other people, that's going to make this an environment that's going to go and scare people and make them not feel safe.
Just really quickly, on this follow-up, I just want to know what specific term of service was that a violation of?
That would go into, or I would say that many people would be concerned that if you're turning Getter effectively into the OkCupid of the.
What's the specific term of service that he violated with that post?
So that would go into, as we talk about a white nationalist group, you talk about what that impact.
So, Jack, are you even familiar with Nick Fuentes outside of what everybody says?
I know he's controversial. I don't know too much. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Only what people say about certain people. And
now, if Nick Fuentes is everything that people say, this white nationalist who's calling for segregation or whatever, do you think that they should be kicking him off of Getter?
See, here's the problem. We've seen the powers that be throw those labels and those accusations around so carelessly, whether it's alt-right or white nationalists, or like even the word terrorist obviously is kind of becoming meaningless if they're willing to call anyone terrorist for walking through the Capitol and and all this other stuff. So because those definitions are so loose and watered down, I feel like, any true free speech platform should not even have those kind of terms, because it's almost meaningless and everyone's opinion of what does and doesn't constitute that, Right. So I think that seems like they're going to shoot themselves in the foot, because that's how it always starts. You think, we're just going to go after the worst people. Just the ones who are this. But then that definition gets expanded until, once again, the platform's unusable, because suddenly everyone is offended or triggered or considered
or a terrorist.
Yeah. And it's not that there aren't real, bad people out there. It's just that those are the trade-offs of having a free one or not.
Yeah, absolutely. So this guy, he goes on, I watched the full 2-hour interview. I haven't listened to the after I guess his isn't called an after party. The bonus yet that Tim Pool does. I meant to do that. I don't know why I didn't. Whatever. But I watched this full interview, and the answers this guy gives are just so bad. We're not going to go through all of them, but it's just like, the post that Nick Fuentes got removed for is he just went on there and said, any groypers in here. That's it. That's all he said, because that's what he calls his people or whatever, and they've been labeled this white supremacist. I don't know that much about them. I don't really care at all about them. I think Nick Fuentes is a fucking dork, and I don't understand why anybody would follow this guy. But he's got some controversial opinions, and he's got a lot of trolling that he does that gets him a lot of labels. I don't know if he's like a straight up white supremacist. I haven't seen anything of him saying specifically, I want certain groups to be taken. Like, I don't think that he is that way necessarily, but I'm not here to defend Nick Fuentes. I'm here to say that a business that says that they're for freedom of speech, who will just remove somebody for saying any groypers in here. Yeah. Like, if that's all that it takes, like Tim Pool points out, if you're going to define this, and this guy couldn't even tell you what a groyper was outside of, it's a white supremacist group or whatever. If you're going to kick somebody off for saying that word just in general, then you're worse than Twitter, because Twitter doesn't kick you off for saying, are there any groypers in here? So...
yeah, it's like false advertising, feels like. Because it's like, look, if you want to be that platform, if you want to be a Twitter copycat or some other copycat and have certain rules, then fine, market yourself as that. But then don't pretend you're like the bastion of free speech when you clearly have your own limits and lines too, that you're not as clear about up front either. So, and again, too, people forget, like, I don't know enough about these particular guys or their groups, but, people can be offensive. Hell, you can have a bunch of like racist people online who talk about, gross racist things. But if they're peaceful people not threatening anybody, they just have ugly, gross opinions, like, is that the public danger that you think it is?
We should be allowed to go and watch the freak show of racists. Like, you're taking that joy away from us.
Yeah, the entertainment value is gone. And secondly, how are you ever going to reach or change the hearts of people if you can't even identify and engage them and show them another side to things, right? If they're just, so it's kind of sad that we're, so quick to pull the trigger. But again,
Magoo says he literally said, "Where my bitch is at." So maybe he didn't even say. I don't know. I don't really care. Like, either way, I don't think he should have been removed for it. CD McRae says, "Let Nick Fuentes talk. The lore of Fuentes is what fuels him," and I think that's absolutely true. The only reason I know who this guy is at all is because so many people have freaked out about him, trying to cancel him and trying to cancel anybody who associates with him. Like, I never would have even cared to. I would have watched like 2 seconds of the guy and been like, well, I don't care about this guy's stupid ideas because he's a dork. Like, I don't. I have. There's no appeal there. I don't understand. But because he's getting banned from all these things, I think that's the only, like, his movement, I guess you could call it. His fan base is growing and growing just because they're making him out to be this big scary boogeyman, and so people are like, let's see what this guy has to say.
Yeah. Well, speaking as a flat tard, I can say the same thing. The more they try to censor and repress information, the more attractive and interesting it becomes. Like, that's just human nature. Like, duh. Every time the teacher in class said, don't do this or say this, the more the kids wanted to whisper it and say it and do it. So it's just, it's some common sense that they never seem to get. It's like, if you have a problem with something, laugh it off, face it directly, turn it into something that isn't as big and scary, because when you act so threatened by everything, you just give it power and make yourself look weaker. So,
absolutely.
Congratulations.
Yep. So, like I said, the next night, Tim Pool had on the CEO of Gab, and I had actually heard him on a different show. I don't remember which one it was. One of Elijah Schaefer's shows. I heard him on there as well, and man, this guy just floored the answers from the Getter CEO. So let's, I don't know how much of this we'll watch, but let's find out.
You, Andrew, are the CEO of Gab, and I think, are you the only social media platform that uses the First Amendment as its rule book?
The only one. We're the only free speech platform.
I think mine does that too.
Do they?
Yeah, First Amendment, and it's based on law in Connecticut, the state where it's incorporated. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, good for both of you.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah, dude. But so let's break this down. Gab has been attacked They've tried to shut you down. They've gone after your infrastructure. You have sitting in front of you a pocket Declaration of Independence and Constitution. You say it's if it doesn't, if it's within the First Amendment, people are allowed to say it. Why are these big tech companies trying to take Gab offline?
Right. So we are the most no-platformed, censored, deplatformed, whatever you want to call it, technology startup in history. We've been banned from both app stores because Apple and Google came to me and they demanded that we censor things that they didn't like. And I said, no, absolutely not, because you don't make the same demands of Facebook and Twitter. You can find hate speech on Twitter. You can find hate speech on Facebook. And I'm not going to censor it because you're not making them censor it. Okay. So I refuse to bend the knee, and they banned us from the app stores. They actually banned our entire developer account in Apple's case. We've been banned from banks, Tim. We've been banned from every payment processor. We've been banned from hosting services, right? Email services, about 30 plus different services all in all, right? With all the infrastructure that it requires to run a social media website. So what we've done over the past 5.5 years since I started Gab is we've built our own. People go say, if you don't like it, it's the free market, go build your own. That's exactly what we did. We are the only platform that has done that. All these other platforms that are coming out now, they're saying we're the free speech platform. If you look at where their servers are hosted, they're hosted on Amazon. If you look at who they depend on, it's Apple and Google on the app stores. If you look at their terms of service, they have the exact same terms of service as Facebook, as Twitter. So it's basically Silicon Valley, but with a new logo. Okay, and that's not what we're building.
What about mines? Are they now?
All right, whatever. That wasn't exactly the clip I was looking for, but you get the point. The guy basically says, like, at the beginning when he's asked, like, what are your terms of service, he just pulls out the Constitution. And he's like, well, that's it.
Nice.
Now, there was some back and forth on, like, they don't allow porn on Gab, which it's funny that Twitter will ban you and Getter will ban you and these platforms will ban you for certain words that are used, but then they allow. I mean, maybe that's just a personal preference for me. I think that porn is more like hardcore porn is more offensive than even the N-word, much less the Groiper word. So I don't know. So he got some pushback on that and whatever, because obviously that's kind of in the like included as freedom of speech, but it's not really speech. There's kind of debate there on what is decent and what where that line is. What do you think, Jack, as a man who wrote a big old smut book about trannies? What do you think about what do you think about Gab's no porn policy, Jack?
Yeah, I think it's cool that they seem like the more legit ones when it comes to free speech in general, right? Based on the fact that they're the ones being targeted and shut down. So that's the proof is in the pudding there. And then if they draw their line at that, okay, sure, if that's where you want to draw it, but I'm sure, that's where others would jump in to provide and go, hey, we're the place that lets that happen. So that's hopefully what happens is there are these little ecosystems that overlap, and ideally the platform you go to or what you use would be based on what type of experience or filtering process you want and which ones they do and don't allow, instead of these sort of big flexes from the bigger companies and of course, as we know, often from the government kind of whispering into their ears and pushing them towards that. So power to anyone fighting the system, even if they have their own weird little rules. But
yeah, and what's funny is Gab was made out to be this like Nazi like safe haven or whatever. Like that's what it's been slandered as this whole time. And you can find that stuff, I'm sure, if you go looking for it, because they don't ban people for speech. Anything that is legal by law, like they allow that. They allow the profanity and all the slurs and all the things. So some people will find a happy place there. I can see how that would be off-putting to others, but to me, that's less offensive than accidentally coming across a big swinging old dick. But that's my personal preferences. Now, also, it's not like there's a how do I put this? That doesn't sound like I'm condoning racism. There's not a lack of porn on the internet. If you want to find it, you can go find it. It's not that difficult. It's a lot harder to find the good happy race. Just kidding. No, I bring this up because it's like they're portrayed and conveyed, or they're slandered as this Nazi haven, but the dude's like a freaking Christian guy, and he's like, I don't agree, obviously, with most of the things or a lot of the things on my platform. He's like, there's even an account that is like a parody account of him, the CEO. There's a parody account of him, and he's like, I find it hilarious, and it's very offensive sometimes and stuff like that. So like a Christian dude who's like, I've got this one line, and it's just, and I can also understand the porn thing with like, you don't want to go down that road because then you have to know how old everybody is in videos and be able to like be responsible for keeping track of that type of thing.
I could see how that feels like a trap. Yeah, where suddenly you're like, we don't want the child porn stuff get on there. Yeah, that's I can get that angle for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
but nice to see guys who are they got a sense of humor and can laugh at know.
Yeah, I definitely got better vibes from the guy. He was more like. Whereas with the Getter CEO, I got the vibe of like, yes, he felt like a politician. He kept spinning the question. He kept spinning his answers back into, but listen, we are the most free, but we are the future. We are like these just canned answers. And so having the difference between watching the difference between that guy like beating around the bush and then this guy being like, we don't like porn and the rest is up to you. And like you can
upfront about it. Here are the rules. Yeah.
And you can even form your own communities on Gab, it sounds like, and you can limit what they are and aren't allowed to talk about in your own group. So it's not like it's just a free-for-all, but to some degree it is.
Right.
So all
Create
this
your
to
own
say,
experience.
the system is down. I am on Gab, but we'll probably have to start a group in there or something because I'm getting really fucking sick of having our group on Facebook, even though they've banned us a few times. We're still silently on Facebook, but we might be moving. So gear up and get ready to move, kids, because it's happening. It seems like
I'll join you. I'll follow along.
Nice. It seems like the only place with longevity, and I don't know like if we're going to be pushing to like build a big Gab platform necessarily, but being able to have like a safe space, I guess, a safe space to just have conversations about things like COVID. Like it's not like I'm just looking for a place to go drop N-bombs. Like talking about COVID and talking about the news and stuff is so hard to do on Facebook or even Twitter these days. So fuck them. Like let's go. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough plugging Gab. They'll be okay. What else we got? Oh, did you hear that Louie Anderson died?
No.
Yeah, Louie Anderson died.
A lot of people dying.
Yeah. Louie Anderson died, and what's most tragic about it is that nobody paid attention to it for hours because Meatloaf also died the same day.
Okay. Yeah.
I heard that Louie Anderson died. I was a big fan. Did you ever watch Life with Louie, his kids show back in the day?
No.
Maybe you're too young.
No, well. Yeah, just ignorant.
Yeah, it's all good. Jack, if we're getting a delay here, you can jump out and jump back in. That usually fixes it.
Oh, am I getting? Okay.
I think so. You're taking a while to respond. Maybe it's just because you're retarded. I don't know.
Yeah, it's either slowness on my part or the phone. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try it. We'll find out who's slow. Hold on.
Right. Sounds good. So, are you here? Here, I'll kick you out. Now just jump back in. Rock legend Meatloaf is cruelly mocked for his anti-mask and anti-vaccine mandate beliefs just hours after he died from COVID, age 74. And Jack is back. Jack?
Okay, I've returned.
Nice. We good?
I see the Daily Mail.
Yes. Rock legend Meatloaf is cruelly mocked for his anti-mask, anti-vaccine mandate beliefs hours after he died from COVID, age 74. And the story is that he died allegedly of COVID. He was a very large man, and he had a very large stance against COVID, and he spoke out against the mandates. And it only took a matter of hours for people to start smearing this guy as a piece of shit for dying of a thing that you know. What do you think? What do you think, Jack? Is it should these people be mocked after their death?
It's
for being such anti-science retards.
It's something like the vibe between the two sides is different. because I feel like those of us warning against the mandates and the vaccines, we'll be fine because we know we're not going to take them.
Yeah.
Whereas, I'm like, oh, here we go. It's kind of truly for the sake of the people who would be, signing up for some of this stuff. We have these concerns, but the pro-mask, pro-vax side, it's like, it seems really clear they don't actually seem to care about help
reality.
I don't know. I don't get the feeling like they care about helping save people with the it's
Right.
like they want to use that as a way to tell the rest of society that they're immoral and stupid and
now when you have celebrities coming out saying or being very pro mask mandate, pro vax mandate, and pushing the vax on people, being salesmen for the establishment basically, and then they get COVID, I can see having a little bit of a chuckle there, and I do almost every time. But if they died, I wouldn't be out there applauding it like these people are when the opposite happens.
I feel like, and maybe it's my own bias, I feel like because one side's pushing the agenda and being authoritarian and wanting to violently arrest, I feel a little more justified in being like, yeah, man, you're shooting yourself in the foot with these things you're doing.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to mock authoritarian people for not, because our side is just trying to be free. I mean, if we, I just feel like it's not equal. I feel like we respect the rights and choices of the people we're arguing against.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to let them live how they want to. Whereas the people who are pushing the agenda, they're revealing their true colors, and it's quite
frightening.
Quite disturbing.
Yeah, we've got things like the USA Singer says Meatloaf would do anything for love except get vaccinated. Gene Wu says, we mourn Mr. Loaf's passing. In the end, he finally let us know what the one thing was he wouldn't do for love. Get vaccinated. Haha. I wonder how many people use the exact same joke pretending like they were witty. Brianna Wu says, not going to point out that he was an anti-mask science denier who had a very serious case of COVID. Not going to point out how he used his public platform to encourage others to ignore precautions. Just going to wish his family and loved ones comfort. So this asshole, it's like, I'm not going to point out that he was a piece of shit, but my hat goes off to the family and well wishes. Like, fuck you.
Oh God, it's like, don't even pretend. You're just a fucking asshole.
I feel
that's
like almost worse because you're saying it would be wrong of me to do this, and I'm also going to do it, and a slap in the face while I pretend like I care about his family.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm okay with laughing at people who push authoritarianism and then, suffer the consequences of it. I think the side that's pushing freedom to do what one wants, I don't think it's equivalent. I know for them, they're like, oh, you're dumb and whatever for not getting vaccinated. But it's like, if anyone has the right to laugh, it's us at them. I'm sorry, but they're the ones who are trying to make other people make their choices. And all we're saying is let us make our own.
I could be wrong, but I don't think Meatloaf is like looking up from hell being like, I wish I had gotten vaccinated. Like, we don't, it's not like anytime anything happens, whether you've gotten the vaccine or not gotten the vaccine, whether you're for a mask or against a mask, whatever, no matter what your stance is, you get COVID. At least on the left, it seems like the trend is you get COVID and then you say, well, it's really, really bad. Just imagine how much worse it would have been if blank, like whatever it is that you're trying to sell. Just imagine how much worse it would have been if I hadn't blank. It's like, I can't, and you can't either, because this impacts everybody differently in every way. Like, who was it? Chris Rock or somebody who was like, man, he kept going on about how he was vaccinated. Then when he got COVID, he's like, guys, this really sucks. Sure, I'm glad I got vaccinated. Go out and get your vax. It's like, so does it really suck, or did you get vaccinated and it helped? Like, what's the positive? What's the upside? You're saying I did a thing and had a bad outcome. Just imagine, like, how much worse it could have been. I don't know. It's all just failed, flawed logic. It's stupid.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely someone who's convinced that these things are fucking poison. I don't think these are even neutral for your health. I think these are meant to do serious harm to people. And I don't, as more comes out, it's getting worse and worse. And it's sad that the people who just those of us who just want to be free to not take this thing or do these things, it's as much for the sake of the people who are lining up for this as it is for our own freedom to do stuff, but at least we respect the choice of other people to take a risk and roll the dice on this thing,
Right, yeah.
even if we'll beg them not to. We don't believe in outright stopping people from making even poor decisions, right? So it just I just think the moral equivalence isn't there. I think that's why my satire is just ridiculing this whole agenda and everyone who's pushing it, because it'd be one thing, libertarians tend to be like, yeah, make your own choice, we just oppose mandates and all that, but I'm talking about the ones who are like, yeah, they wish death on anyone who doesn't obey them with that stuff. So,
and I don't want to gloss over that Louie Anderson died, because my point was that nobody noticed, and then I just kind of glossed over it and went on to Meatloaf as well. Louie Anderson was awesome, and I don't know what his politics were, which probably means he was a conservative to some degree, because that's how you know in Hollywood. If they don't talk about it, they're probably a conservative.
They're more quiet, yeah.
Yeah. No, I have no idea. His show though, I went back and rewatched it. Like I watched it growing up, and I went back and rewatched it a couple years ago, and it's like so good and wholesome. Like he had a troubled family, a troubled life. Like his dad was an alcoholic and everything, and just knowing that and hearing his, I think he was on a podcast. I don't remember which one. The Pete Holmes podcast. You Made It Weird. He was on that, and it was fantastic. I'd highly recommend it. A couple years ago, but yeah, if you go back and watch that show, knowing all the shit that he went through in his life growing up, and seeing how he portrayed his dad as like this crotchety guy, but also showing the good sides of him and everything. Like the guy was awesome, and I guess he was like some sort of did therapy for kids and stuff like that. Like his life, he was a comedian. First, like on the surface, but there was a lot to him, and I think he was an awesome dude. And tragic that he's gone. I don't have any idea what he died of, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna pretend like there's a political lean to that. But Meatloaf, yes. To Anarcho Zero, yes. Meatloaf was anti-vax, anti-mandate, or whatever. Apparently, and I actually didn't know that until all this stuff started coming out as well, either. But whatever. We're gonna move on. Because we got a lot to do. So, did you hear about World War III coming? World War III was trending yesterday. Apparently, the U.S. is discussing military deployment near Ukraine with NATO as West steps up response to Russian threats. Do you know anything about the apocalypse coming, Jack?
Oh, man. Well, two things. One, I think World War III is happening right now, and it's not with bullets. I think it is with needles. Yes. Secondly,
it's funny you say that, because I titled this the World War III Roadshow or something like that, and because that was kind of where I was at too. Like it seems like we've kind of been in this. We've been in this this struggle all across the world, like even more broadly than any of the former world wars, the first two installments of the trilogy. But this one has been going on, and I'm just like, well, I guess that's falling apart now. That's kind of how I see it, is that narrative is kind of wearing off, and so now we gotta take this war back overseas where people can be, blindsided by it.
This is what makes me think it's all fake. Like the same way we see Republicans and Democrats as like this fake controlled opposition for each other, owned and run by the same people. I'm at the point where I'm thinking that's the same thing with countries, man. I'm starting to think a lot of these supposed tensions and what if wars and supposed nuclear wars we might have are just fake. I don't think they're ever going to let that happen. I don't think there'll ever be that kind of hot war or nuclear war. I'm sure they're probably explosion. Let me jinx it first. It almost seems like they are, if they're not literally run by the same people, they must have some kind of agreement or game they play, because they certainly are willing to shoot and kill people on the ground with troops and drones. I mean, there's real war and consequences and bloodshed, but this idea that we're going to have a nuclear power, I don't know. I'm starting to think
there's some conspiracy guys who think that nukes aren't real. Do you think that nukes are real?
I'm starting to question even stuff like that too. I mean, if I've already hit flat Earth, everything's on the table, right? I mean,
it's all up from here. Yeah.
It is weird that we supposedly bombed, with these nukes 2 cities, and then they were up and running 3 days later and apparently fine. It was just a lot of other bombs we may have dropped. I don't know. I haven't dug too deep in that one yet, but
Right.
I'm at the point where I'm like, yeah, this just feels like the show going on. I don't know what to trust anymore. And you're right. Maybe it is just to scare us into submission in some other way.
It's weird timing.
Now that COVID's not working.
Yeah, it's weird timing. And I've noticed, like, I don't know, with Biden, he pulled out of Afghanistan, and a bunch of war hawks on the right were like, oh, that's terrible because it's Biden. Now he's going back, or he's taking us over to Ukraine. And I've noticed some right-wingers being like, well, we'll see how this goes. Maybe it's not so bad after all. And yeah, I mean, I'm not a foreign intervention person, or I'm not a foreign, whatever, knowledge person. I'm not a big brain foreign Scott Horton type. But yeah, it doesn't take much of a genius to figure out that I don't think Russia is planning on invading Ukraine, and I don't think the U.S. gives a shit. I think that we're gonna go I think that we're gonna push them into invading Ukraine, if anything. But I don't know that much about it. Just know that there's some stuff. I think we're all gonna learn more about how the U.S. foreign intervention bullshit works over the next couple of months. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. It seems like, the wars are meant to be continuous. So just because they pull out of one area doesn't mean they don't already have pre-planned where they're going to send bombs and people next. And I think that's the goal, is to keep us thinking we're going to be out of one conflict, but they got the next one lined up.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is coordinated between the two bigger countries. It seems like half the time we're funding both sides of these conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
We're, creating the next wave of terrorists or whatever. It's hard to even know which of those are real, if they're all just these psyops and these fake outs where it's just like, it's just to enrich themselves on war against people who can't really fight back. And
yeah, I am curious to see how this goes, because it is like, at least I'm probably naive to say this, but it's like the first time that we're gearing up for a big thing, like a World War III type of escalation with the internet. Like seeing how stuff gets out and how stuff is disseminated. I am curious to see how that would go if we start a hot war, and how, like, will it be longer or shorter? Will it benefit them to have access to this I don't know, brainwashing system that we have here? Will that benefit the establishment in doing this because they have the mouthpieces that can push things like vaccine mandates? Or will it be their undoing because it won't play out quite as easily as it did before, because people will actually be talking about it?
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to tell exactly what their plan is. I suspect that they wouldn't want to have a full-on blow up Russia and U.S. blow each other. I feel like both sides, if they're really two different sides, agree that that's not in either one of their interests. It doesn't make any sense. So it would probably just be like, Iraq and Afghanistan. Let's just send people and bombs and pretend we hate each other and are fighting.
World War 3.0 is what we'll call the Ukraine issue. I mean,
but yeah, the internet might change it. I wonder,
one to start another one, right? It could be World War 4 at this point. Sorry, what were you saying?
Right. If World War III is the vaccine war, then what do you call this? But yeah, maybe people communicating. Maybe this is part of why the COVID thing was starting to get defeated a bit, or at least make them pull back a bit, because our ability to communicate, despite their censorship, is bigger. And so maybe even with stuff like this, people in Ukraine are also are going to be able to say things and show things that we wouldn't see on the news. So
right.
I wonder if this is why they're struggling so much, or they're trying to get a stranglehold on all the information. They can't quite do it yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that has something to do with it. And people might be wondering, Jack, what you mean by they're pulling back on the whole COVID establishment regime bullshit. How about Boris Johnson ends England's COVID restrictions, including mask mandates and vaccine passports, amid scandal. Now, I'm not that familiar with this scandal. I don't care. He runs a shithole country. Just like Biden does. But the fact that I don't care what the reason is. If it's happening, I'm happy for it. If there's a scandal, whatever. If that's what it takes to get him out of office or get him away from doing the mandates and stuff. Face masks will no longer be mandated in England, though the government is encouraging people to wear coverings in enclosed and blah, blah, blah. So they're still pushing it a little bit, but they're pulling back on all this. And it is interesting to see, the people that we got away from, the reason why our country exists, allegedly, is because we were trying to get away from tyranny and oppression. And now they're more based than we are and more free than we are, at least in this one minor area. That is a pretty big, not very minor area, actually. But, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the win. And whether this is like a true victory or this is just their strategic, quick step back before they leap to the next thing. I mean, maybe they already succeeded if their goal was just to, inject as many people as they could. But whatever it is, I'll take it. It's maybe we can take this beginning of the retreat as an opportunity to push back harder than they expected, so that they can't come back and try it again as easily, because we're wiser to it now. We know what they're up to.
Right. Yeah. The change in coronavirus policy comes as many British lawmakers are calling for Johnson's resignation following reports of parties and other supposedly prohibited gatherings at the Prime Minister's residence during the COVID-19 lockdown. So even if that is the case, even if that is the reason, they're still more based than we are, because we've got the same shit happening here. If it's just because he's going out and having parties, why aren't we calling for AOC's resignation or Gavin Newsom's resignation? All these people that are making the rules and then breaking them. Nancy Pelosi's resignation, everybody. So either way, they're doing better than we are, which is sad and kind of telling. Continuing with that, the U.S. judge blocked Biden's vaccine mandate for federal workers in a latest blow to the White House COVID agenda. So they have struck down Biden's call for federal mandates as well. I think all we have left is medical professionals, right? They're still under lock and key.
Yeah. It sucks that they got away with that still for now, but yeah. And then of course the state governors can be, as psychotic as they want still. So, I'm dealing with Jay Inslee up here, and I don't know what his next move is or what's going to happen there. But yeah, hopefully, right, the more start to retreat on this a bit, it signals to the others like, okay, now's the time to withdraw, and
you're going to be the outsider pretty soon here. You were terrified of being the outsider like Ron DeSantis, where you're going against the mandates and the regime bullshit. Now I think you're right. I think a lot of these people are going to follow suit. I think America in general is probably going to follow suit with England, because they're going to be like, well, we don't want to be the asshole still locking down when none of this is actually doing anything, and we've known that for a long time. I say we. When I say we, I don't mean them. I mean we. We've known that for a long time. They've known it for a long time. They just don't like to admit it. But more recently, from BusinessInsider.com, early evidence suggests Omicron infection could give people super immunity against future coronavirus variants. But experts warn COVID-19 is still unpredictable. You know who's not unpredictable, Business Insider? Business Insider. And all you hacks. Of course you're backpedaling now when it's not working, you motherfuckers.
It's another win.
Yeah.
God, this whole thing, it's just been like that moment in iRobot where Will Smith's like, somehow I told you so, just doesn't quite say it. Just like every week or two lately, it's like everything people have been saying getting banned for, they're now openly admitting. So that's a win. That they're spinning it. We're like, oh, now we've seen that this is the
super immunity, not just reality. Immunity, which leads me to believe that they're like, well, people just aren't dying like we had hoped from this Omicron thing. We're not getting the numbers, even enough to lie, not even enough to get Biden in the White House. But they're like, so now it's not just immunity. We've said that immunity isn't real basically for the last 2 years, but now suddenly super immunity comes from the least deadly variant. Maybe we should just run with that. And I think this is their way of pushing the agenda kind of under the rug and hoping that people buy into this super immunity thing. And they're like, well, it's because of the super immunity that we're doing this. And of course, they're including that's if you get vaccinated. If you've been vaccinated you've had Omicron, then you have this super immunity. It's not just because, it's a weaker form of the virus.
Yeah, super immunity makes me kind of want to get like a Superman cape with the S, but it'll say like super immunity or something.
Yes.
Like we should just. It makes me feel like now we're the superheroes for doing the common sense thing, which is okay. You get sick,
and
you
so now
get
they
better, and then you're fine. That's normally how this works.
Like they can even bring in immunity and pretend like they can. If they push this superimmunity thing, they can accept and put out there that there was immunity and they weren't lying this whole time, because now it's like, yes, you got immunity from already having COVID and even being unvaccinated, but now we've got this super immunity thing that's way better. And I mean, even despite this super immunity thing, we've still got Fauci saying everybody's going to get it. So let's watch a bit. This is the highly contagious. This is CNN.com, so you know it's legit. The highly contagious Omicron variant will find just about everybody, Fauci says, but vaccinated people will still fare better. Of course, the promises and promises for this thing just diminish by the day. Can you imagine being somebody who got vaccinated because your employer, Starbucks, said you have to get vaccinated to work here, and then Biden comes out and says, actually, you don't have to be vaccinated to work at Starbucks. And Starbucks says, we agree, you don't have to be vaccinated to work at Starbucks. And you're there, like maybe you even experience some medical issues with the vaccine that you got so that you could keep working at your shitty coffee bean job. And now you're like, well, I suffered from this thing and now I get to keep my job and I didn't have to have this thing. Like, what must be going through these people's heads to be on this roller coaster and believing it?
It shows how sinister it is that it's their most loyal and obedient subjects who will suffer the most, right? It's like the sacrifice of their greatest, and
except Meatloaf.
It's like your loyalties, right, rewarded with you're going to take this thing that might be poisonous, and but thank you for your sacrifice, thank you for your service, for it's like. But also, secondly, Omicron saying that it will find everybody makes me think of like Liam Neeson and Taken being like, "I will find you," but way lamer.
Give you the sniffles.
Yeah, like he shows up and he just kind of slaps you, and then he's like, right. It's like the super weak Liam Neeson threat.
Taken starring Omicron. I have a very pretty normal set of skills, actually. I give you the sniffles. You got like the sneezes and some congestion, but I will find you and I will discomfort you.
I will discomfort you mildly. Put some Dayquil or something might do the trick. Yeah.
When the symptoms of this thing started coming out, I was like, what type of label do you think they're going to give to like NyQuil or Dayquil or whatever? It's like cat medicine, typically used on cats. Tylenol. It's like, I don't know, like the horse pacing. Anyway, let's watch a bit of this and see what Fauci's up to these days.
Health officials were grilled by lawmakers for hours on Capitol Hill yesterday over the frustrating state of the pandemic. In one very blunt assessment, the acting head of the FDA said most people are going to get the virus.
Most people are going to get COVID. All right, and what we need to do is make sure the hospitals can still function.
Omicron, with its extraordinary, unprecedented degree of efficiency of transmissibility, will ultimately find just about everybody.
Now, with that, so basically what you're saying is everybody's going to get it. So why do you give a shit where you're getting it from or who you're getting it from, whether they were vaccinated, whether your neighbor's vaccinated, whether you're vaccinated, if you're going to get it anyway? And he goes on to say, of course, that, it's a little bit worse if you don't have the vaccine and these people aren't getting sick, which is just a flat out lie. I mean, now they're trying to spin it into like, if you have the vaccine, which can you even call it a vaccine? Because it's not preventing this thing or preventing the spread. But it might make you a little less sick or whatever. Like, I don't know. Is this what you guys signed up for? Is this what the bill of goods you were sold? It changes by the day. Like we now have people who are still facing losing their jobs after getting like vaxxed in possibly one booster because they haven't gotten the second booster. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like it's even worse than that because, I mean, as I think at this point, this thing is actually doing more harm to people than those who don't get it. And I think it's coming out more and more, the VAERS reports, everything. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few months they're now, pretending to be surprised that, oh, gee, it looks like people who got this thing actually were getting more sick. Maybe their immune systems were weakened. Maybe their body was dealing with other stuff from the toxins or other things in the thing. So, I mean, I've got my full tinfoil hat on here, but that'll protect me from the 5G waves, I'm sure.
Nice.
And
did you hear the 5G is
seriously,
now giving problems for airplanes? It's like fucking up their systems.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's fun. Anyway, that's a rabbit hole. Anyway, keep going. What were you saying?
Yeah, not surprised. Yeah, it's amazing when you see the trajectory of their backpedaling. It's like they're phasing out of this just the same way they phased into it, right? Like they were turning the pot to boiling slowly, right? And now they're like bringing it down. And at this point, I think I saw something that said, fact checkers say that, the vaccine is not giving people neurodegenerative diseases. And it's like, well, if they're already doing the fact check on that kind of shit, in a few months they're going to be admitting now that it does. Like, I'm already like, damn, this is bad. This is not good. And I think we're always a few months ahead of what they'll admit to. So
Yeah, absolutely. So you're saying this thing's basically gone, and now they're trying to weasel their way into pointing out the obvious. So let me watch a little bit more of this. I don't remember if there's anything else of relevance here.
Fortunately, those who are still unvaccinated are going to get the brunt of the severe aspect of.
We accept your terms, sir, and we will go with that. Cool. I will take the brunt end. I mean, we lost Meatloaf pouring out for your homies, but we know that we might get it worse. I'm not even convinced that that's the case, because I know a lot of people who were vaccinated who got it worse than I did. So I'm not.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the evidence that it's even going to be worse. But if that is the case, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you told the truth for once in your fucking life, Fauci. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. We accept your terms, and we will absorb this thing for you and your people. And thank you for admitting that they're all going to get it anyway. So who gives a shit? Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the first time that these health officials have testified in front of lawmakers since the emergence of the Omicron variant, and of course the concerns over this nationwide shortage of rapid testing. So for more on this, I want to bring in Dr. Abdul El Sayed for joining us this morning on all of these hours of testimony that happened yesterday.
Who is this guy on the left?
I just want to get your reaction to hearing.
Look at this guy's face. Like these are the people that we take our advice from in life. Apparently, just watch this guy as we go on. He is. I don't know. He is the caricature of what he is. Like, he's a living news anchorman caricature.
Acting commissioner at the FDA say most people are going to get COVID, because I think that is something that everyone has kind of recognized since the Omicron variant came out, and as contagious as it is. But to hear it in a testimony from a top federal health official is still pretty stunning.
It was quite stunning, and I was actually a bit perplexed about what she said it based on, and frankly why she said it, because in the end, I've been struggling since she said it to look for empirical modeling that backs that claim. And even if there was an empirical model, you would expect a rollout saying, look, here's what we found based on so-and-so modeling. That's how science communication works. But to say it off...
Okay, so you're mad that we're not communicating the science properly and we're being a little confusing about it. Well, have you paid attention? Because they haven't been all that clear about the rest of it either. And he's like, well, I would like to see the modeling. It's like, look around, motherfucker. Look out. Look at all the people you know who have gotten it, who are fine. Yes, it sucks for some people, and some people do die, but that does, like, you want the modeling to say that everyone's going to get this? How about the fact that all the vaccinated people keep getting it? Isn't that enough evidence for you? I don't know what else you need other than that.
Yeah. It's so laughable. It's so, like, it's so, and I'm still shocked that there's people who are still buying into everything they're saying, because even, it's like, even by their own rules and standards of what they think the science is, they keep backpedaling and having to, but still try to sell the fear, but admit this and that. And I'm just glad there's more people seeing through it. Even people who already got the vaccine, people who were, all for it, as they see, like, oh yeah, some of my vaccinated friends are getting way sicker than the people who never got this thing. They're more people are waking up. So at least they're losing. that argument. If they won't admit to themselves yet, they're still pretending they have. I guess it's just for their base. I guess it's for the people that are still super loyal to everything they say that they're saying it for at this point, because no one else cares.
Yeah, I almost feel like people who are still going along with this, they're just holding out to be the last ones to flip. And when they flip, the people won't call them on it, because people like us will be like, great, come on over. And it's ridiculous the way you treated everybody and the way you spoke for the lies to the public for the last 2 years. However, we'll accept you as soon as you make that switch.
Yeah.
At least that's my stance. And
better late than never, right? Like, hey, come on over. We need everyone on the side we can get.
for putting it on for this long, and until that flip comes, I will continue calling them that, just like Dave Smith. But they I don't know, man. Like, it seems like so many people are waking up and switching over because they see that the writing is on the wall. And there's a lot of people who are like, well, I don't have a big enough of a following or a base to make that risky of an assessment yet. So we'll just hold out and wait until the CDC says it's over. And then we'll say, yeah, we knew it was over the whole time. Or whatever, I don't know. But the CDC isn't quite there yet, because this came out yesterday. The CDC says all masks help prevent the spread of COVID-19 when worn consistently and correctly. Well, the problem is, CDC, all masks can't be worn consistently and correctly. So you're just wrong right out the gate. Because you say that the best way to wear it is like tight fitting around your nose and it has to have a nice tight seal, and you're saying all masks help prevent it. When worn correctly. But you can't wear a bandana that fits tightly around your nose and creates a seal. So even by your own logic, this makes no sense. But it says, choose a mask with the best fit, protection, and comfort for you. Well, I choose none. That's the best fit, protection, and comfort for me. So I'll go with that. Yeah, when worn correctly, respirators offer the highest. Like, they're still pushing this N95 shit, and they're saying that and I'm not saying it doesn't prevent COVID. Obviously, if you are living alone in the woods and never come in contact with another person, you're not likely to get COVID, unless it's brought to you by one of the horses or something out there. I don't know. Like, why are we still pushing the mask thing, do you think? Of course, it can help to some degree, but the CDC has, officials from CDC or people who are like formerly employed there, I don't know, lots of official people have come out saying the masks do basically nothing. There was a guy on PBS recently that we covered here that he said what was it? Like your normal masks, even just like the blue surgical masks, those aren't going to prevent anything. It only gives you like 5 minutes more coverage, which I don't understand how that works, how you measure how long of time you are covered. Does it just stop working after 5 minutes? I don't know, but there's some confusion, to say the least. But they're still doubling down with this thing, saying wear your mask, wear your mask, wear your mask. What do you think, Jack?
I think it's even worse than that. Not only are these shots turning out to possibly be really harmful to people's health, but there's evidence to suggest that the
CD said ugly people. I'm not sure if she's talking about people who wear masks or if she's talking about me and Jack, but I'm going to assume it's the latter. Thank you, CD. Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
Or to cover up ugliness of the mask.
Yes.
It's even possible that people wearing these masks constantly all the time, not changing enough, is harmful to health. So, I mean, I'm at the point, Fauci, the CDC, I want these people, as this gets exposed, criminally prosecuted, and while we have a government, right, the full force of the law against these fraudulent crooks, I'm sick and tired of them. And then we'll audit and then abolish the CDC, just like every other bullshit, government entity or anything that's just. I mean, it's one thing if they were making, it's
gay.
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done being
at a loss for words is understandable at this point.
Yeah.
And I feel this, like I'm the same way. Like I go round and round in circles with these things. Like every single week, I'm covering the same thing and the same hypocrisy as we've been covering for the last 2 years. It's getting really fucking old. But there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe just one more time saying the same damn thing. That one person who matters will hear it and actually go out, and who knows what they'll do with that information. I think that there's still value, as long as this thing is going on. There's still value to keep covering this hypocrisy and this round and round death circle that we're in. But
watch them crash and burn. and laugh.
It's exhausting.
And say we were right.
Yeah. Let's read a few comments here. See what the fine folks in the chat are having to say. The Painting Fisherman says, I'm sure that's their legal Christian birth name, says, I just still feel so dumb for not seeing how dumb people are became so fast. I'm not sure if you're doing talk to text there, Mr. Painting Fisherman, but I feel so dumb for not seeing how dumb our people became so fast. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to reword that if you want me to agree or disagree. Let's see. Rosie B says, I got it from the jabbed. I'm guessing she means from a person who has the vaccine, which, yeah, we've been told by the same people who are saying to get jabbed. We've been told that that is certainly a possibility and is happening. We do have a couple more things, and this might be a shorter episode. I'm toying around with the idea of doing a little bit shorter episodes and possibly working in another one during the week, because trying to fit the news for an entire week into like a 2-hour stretch is impossible. It's just not possible. So, yeah, maybe we'll cut it down and split it up, or maybe we'll cut it down and you'll have to join the Downers Club to get the extra. Who knows what will happen? But let's see. Liberty Joe says, yeah, Fauci, he needs to go to prison for crimes against humanity. Well said for the most part. I think I see what you're going for there. Keep trying. Keep working at it. You'll get it. Anyway, we mentioned Eric Clapton earlier. Oh, I did want to mention, I don't have the clip here, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was at this rally over the weekend as well, and he was trending, and of course the Holocaust was trending, and Nazi Germany was trending, and all sorts of things. I don't have it here to pull up. I wish I did, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did say some things that, out of context in the clip that people took, it does sound kind of stupid. I'll be completely honest. And I think the dude's great. I bought his book. I've started it. I hear nothing but great things from the man. Of course, he's being slandered as this crazy anti-vaxxer Republican or whatever, even though he's a Democrat. But he did say something like, kind of making it sound like what we're living in now is worse than Germany, because Anne Frank was able to hide in her attic, and some people were able to jump the border. I don't want to put words into the guy's mouth, and I don't have the clip ready, but even I was, with that clip as it is, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of dumb thing to say. He didn't straight up say this is worse than Nazi Germany, but it seemed like he was kind of alluding to because we can't escape this thing, then it's worse. But it's we've still got borders, and we can all go to England, I suppose, if we want to. And
I guess now
we still have attics to hide in if we want to. But I don't know. I mean, this jab is going to lead to everybody having Anne Frank syndrome anyway. So there's something there.
Yeah. I mean, history. We'll see how the next few years go. I have a lot of. I agree. I think this thing could be going towards the worst period of human history we've ever had.
Yeah. If
it keeps going this way. So that, I think, makes perfect sense to make comparisons. People who get so triggered by comparisons to where we're going and stuff, it's it's not disrespectful of people who've lived through other atrocities,
right,
to compare them to help prevent future ones.
Right.
If the people
I don't think
who
anybody
suffered and
is
died,
saying that. I don't even think, to be completely honest, I would need to go find the actual speech, because I don't even think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was saying that this is worse than the Holocaust. I don't believe that that's what he was saying. I'm sure it's clipped out of context in some way. If he was, I think it's dumb, but I also don't think there's any issue with people making the comparison like some people do, because the reason why we have memorials for these things, the reason why it's hashtag never forget, is so we don't forget and make the same fucking mistakes. And just because there aren't, active concentration camps gassing people, I mean, we're only the gas away from that. So we can start pointing out.
We got the camps built.
Yeah.
They're there. They're we're not forcing people there yet.
We haven't turned the showers on yet, so we're good.
Right. But the nozzle's there. Yeah. So it's weird that people think the lesson from history was don't be mean to groups of people, instead of this shit can happen more. And there's other things people forget. There's other things besides the Holocaust that happened that killed way more people that were equally horrifying according to the stories. So it's it's not even that was the only thing or that happened in that time period. You know, I mean, the communists were just mass murdering people. So it's like it's weird. It's weird that people are so offended by comparisons, and they're meant to warn and prevent future victims. So I don't know what they're so upset about.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll save everybody if we push back against tyranny. I don't know. It's just weird to me that they make that out to be like a racial issue in some ways, or like they tie you in with Trump supporters or whatever. It's like, you don't have to be a racist to not want black people and Jews and Muslims and everybody to not be forced to take these vaccines. Like, isn't that less?
This should be the most unifying. Yeah, because it's not even like a particular religious group or ethnicity. It's like, this is affecting all people. So this should be the great, let's all not become victims of our government cause, right? It's weird that like people want to take being murdered, imprisoned, or killed by our government as like cultural appropriation, basically. It's like, no, that's our thing. It's like, no, that's everyone should be concerned about that.
Right.
Oh, did I drop out for a second?
You did drop out for a second.
Okay. I was just saying, people trying to make basically that there's people who want to take being imprisoned or murdered by your government and make that like some kind of cultural appropriation. Right. Like, oh no, that's our thing. That's our thing, getting persecuted and murdered. It's like, that could be everyone's thing. That's happening all the time, right?
We would prefer that it wasn't everybody's thing, but we can all kind of relate to some degree now. CD McRae says, they keep talking about hospital bed shortages. I don't know about all that, but I know there's a Fritos shortage and it's a problem. Yes. Joe Biden's going out and saying that there are no shortage. Like, the interesting thing about the time that we're living in is the amount of brainwashing that there is. We have people everywhere. Like, everybody's saying to not trust what you are witnessing with your own eyes. We have the president of the United States coming out and saying, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, but maybe we are. And saying that there aren't shortages, but we can go and look at things with our own eyes and see that the shelves are lacking at least what they were. It's not necessarily, the Great Depression or anything, but when you see that the Fritos are running out, and you start to notice that while they're telling you that it's not happening, it's turning the world upside down, and they're telling you not to believe what you're witnessing with your own eyes, which is I mean, that's the first step to the mass brainwashing right there.
Straight out of 1984. Yeah. I mean, word for word. It's like, don't believe your own eyes, believe what the party tells you.
Yeah.
What's being told to you on TV.
CD goes on to
spooky,
say,
man.
Yeah, CD goes on to say, how am I, an American white woman, supposed to serve taco soup to my husband without Fritos? I came home from the store without any, and I got put in the cage for an hour. Our heart goes out to you, CD. That must be tough. Shannon says, Capri Sun shortage.
This is why this is like the Holocaust. Like, that's what started there, right? It was
It's got all these mom problems. We're running out of Capri Suns and Fritos.
First they came for the Fritos, then they came for...
And I said nothing, for I was not having tacos that night. Then they came for
I
the
was
salsa.
craving Doritos. Yeah.
All right, let's move back into Eric Clapton. We brought him up earlier, and he's been under some fire ever since he started. He had his song about preaching against the mandates and all that shit. But this comes from the NewYorkPost.com, so you know that it is super, super duper legit. Eric Clapton claims people vaccinated against COVID-19 are under hypnosis. And I agree. And, of course, they're not going to agree. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, it's 17 minutes long. This is
all right, music fans.
Shut up. This is the one that I didn't even get into because I was like, oh, there'll be plenty there to talk about. But let me jump ahead and see if we can get a little bit from Eric Clapton.
Going to get fit for that or whether it was going to have to be cancelled. 2 years were already cancelled. And I came to the States, and
all right, this is too long.
People usually lose the feeling in their hands and their feet.
Okay.
And I had a bit of that, but and I was diagnosed with that a couple of years later, and I went on to medication and I started doing Pilates.
So we get the point. He said that it's causing whatever. Mass hypnosis, basically, and that's where I stand as well. Eric Clapton's career had almost gone away until his campaign against conventional medicine took off. Yeah, that's the great unbiased way to start news. His career had almost gone away until his campaign against conventional medicine took off. Yeah, okay. Because nobody knew about Eric Clapton in recent years. He just kind of faded. I don't know. Like, do you follow Eric Clapton? I suppose they might have a point here. I never followed him to begin with, so I don't really know if it faded out, but seems like a snarky way to open this.
Yeah, for real.
The 76-year-old musician went on the Real Music Observer YouTube channel to discuss how his life has changed since reluctantly taking AstraZeneca therapy in 2021. Clapton has since become outspoken against his anti-vaccination stance. He's become outspoken about his anti-vaccination stance, which is not true. He has said that he's not anti-vax, he's just anti-forcing vaccines on people like this. So fuck you guys, from the bottom of my heart. He claimed that he'd been duped into getting the COVID-19 jab by subliminal messaging in pharmaceutical advertising and urged others not to fall for it. You see how they word that in the craziest way that they can possibly make it out to be? That we all know. I mean, they're acting like this is a crazy thing to say. What do you think the point of advertising is to begin with? It's to brainwash you into convincing you that you need their product, and this is like the largest propaganda brainwashing campaign that we've ever seen in our time. So,
yeah. It's like not just like, oh, look, it's on TV. It's like now we have politicians in your government and entire media organizations all funded by, these companies pushing it. It's like it's the most coercive, pushy, shady thing ever that's been pushed on the human population.
Yeah.
Red flag.
He goes on to say, whatever the memo was, it hadn't reached me, he said, referring to the quote, mass formation hypnosis conspiracy theory, which gained traction in 2021 as part of anti-vaccine propaganda. Let's just call it what it is. We don't have to call it mass formation hypnosis if you think that's too much of a conspiracy theory. How about we just call it trauma-based mind control? Is that better for you? Because that's what we're talking about here. That's what this is. You forced people to go against their morals, to go against their views, to comply, and covering faces on children like in their formative years, making it so they're not able to have actual human interactions with their teachers, with their classmates and peers, and even their family. You cut people off from society. Like, at what point do you call it what it is? It's trauma-based mind control. What do you think, Jack? I'm not sure what I'm asking you to comment on, but go ahead.
It's just so funny that the more they try to say, like they use the word conspiracy theory like it's still an insult or like, oh, that's a crazy thought, when the checklist of conspiracy theorists has been getting checked off like one by one. I mean, they called Epstein, not killing himself. And we got the child sex trafficking ring. Mm-hmm. We've got, every stage of the COVID narrative. Like, conspiracy theorists are always like 6 months ahead on it. They're like, here's what's next. Here's what's next. It's like, do they still think that's an insult, or that's going to work as it must for the people who still read them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that they think that saying those magic words somehow goes, oh, that's a goofy idea, it's a conspiracy theory. It's like, dude, they're right. We're right over and over. Like, what? Yes. That's kind of a compliment now. At this point, if they say that's a conspiracy theory, everyone should be going, well, I'm going to start paying attention to that because that might be true.
Magoo says, treat COVID like Clapton's parenting. Leave the window open. If you don't know, Eric Clapton's son died from falling out a window.
Oh, fuck. Oh, my God.
Justico Mitchell says, got a handy off of Clapton behind the AutoZone back in 2019. Look at him now. I guess he's saying that he lost feeling in his hand because of the, I don't know, the hand job that he got from. I'm not entirely sure what's happening in the chats these days, but thanks, guys. Thanks for being cool. And if Jack hasn't gotten us kicked off of YouTube yet, maybe you guys can.
Yeah, I kind of went for it, huh? I didn't even clear it with you.
It's all good. I just have Dave Smith finally coming on the show for real on Wednesday, and you're going to get me banned from YouTube 2 days before. That's awesome.
I forgot to use the code words, like people getting the apple, the poisoned apple. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to care anymore, frankly. Like, if we can't talk on this platform, then fuck this platform. It still has value to me because it's the easiest to get people's attention on. But if the attention is from idiots that still come here, sorry, you guys, I'm not talking about you, obviously. No, I mean, like, your normies that don't come to this type of thing. Like, who am I trying to still get word from? Whose approval am I still seeking by being here? I don't know. It's just the easiest to get people to stumble into it here because it has more traffic. I'm rambling and trying to justify my cowardice, but we are talking about something. You were saying that what were we talking about? The narrative breaking down. I had a good segue into this next part, but I forgot what it was.
It was maybe Eric Clapton related and something about hand jobs.
It's getting worse.
Hands going numb.
Did you watch the? Are you familiar with The Simpsons predicting the future, quote unquote? All those theories.
Yeah, it seems like meme by meme, I'm becoming aware of how much they, the predictive programming. They do it in other places too. I think they give us little hints and clues.
You know you're talking to a good person when you bring up Simpsons predicting the future and they're like, no, it's predictive programming, bro. Because there's if you go on Disney Plus, there's even a section under The Simpsons that's like The Simpsons predict the future. They gloat about how many times it's been right, and they have these different clips and stuff that you can watch the different episodes where they've been right. Very weird and bizarre stuff. Go look into it if you haven't, but even like this one was trending and going around over the last few days, and it's from the Simpsons movie where this happens at the end of it.
I hear him, Mr. Hanks?
Sure thing, son. Now, I'm pleased to tell you all about the new Grand Canyon. Coming this weekend. It's east of Shelbyville and south of
I missed the important part here.
Grand Canyon. It's so old and boring. I want a new one.
Lost its credibility.
All right, sorry, my bad. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Tom Hanks. The U.S. government has lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine.
Tell some I hear him, Mr. Hanks.
So that's the main thing. It's funny. And why is it? Are you familiar with why it's relevant, Jack? Did you see what just came out?
I think I've seen this. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's relevant because. So Tom Hanks and that came out like 10 years ago, and he says, I'm speaking for the government because the government has lost its credibility. So I'm basically here to soften the blow because nobody trusts their government anymore. Here we are in 2022, and this just came out.
Always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Oh, come on.
If only we're brave enough. Brave enough to live through two of the most difficult years many of us can remember.
Recognize
brave
that voice?
To pull ourselves up again and again. America is the home of the brave.
Why does he look like he's... he's always had a little bit of stroke face, but why does he now look like he's like just clenching something, like making a pearl between his cheeks there? He's got a real, I don't know, painful face. Is it just stroke face plus oldness?
That's either the apple kicking in or something. Or he's trying to look and seem kind of like Biden a bit as like a way to make maybe Biden seem kind of like
he's got that
better.
That
like,
half up, half
Biden's
down
just kind of
smile.
like, yeah, it's like, Biden's not, falling apart. He's just kind of like Tom Hanks, this is kind of like a,
Yeah, the adrenochrome's just wearing off. It's no big.
Charming. Yeah, the blood of children is out of stock. Yeah. We're really going for it.
Yeah.
It's why we keep getting up, no matter how many times we get knocked down. Like with our economy. It isn't all the way back, but it's getting stronger. We may be entering year 3 of a pandemic none of us wanted or expected, but we're moving.
I was the first person to get the vaccine in
Yay.
the whole country. And now, how many people are vaccinated?
She's like, and now, and she just starts twitching. Now things have been better, but at least it's going away. It's more manageable these days.
For 200 million, right? That's what keeps me going, that I can feel the change.
So yeah, just
Restaurants are open.
propaganda voiced over by, this is straight propaganda from the White House, from Biden, in favor of Biden, pushing Biden, because we all know that Biden can't get through that much of an ad. It's like 2 whole minutes long, but he does have something to say at the end. Let's see.
Land of the brave.
I've long said it's never been a good bet to bet against America.
And that's more true today than ever. I've never been more optimistic about America's future.
Like, he even fumbles his words when he is reading it off a teleprompter, not live. Like, he has a script in front of him that he is currently reading, and he's still, like, mumbling as though almost like he's drunk. Yeah. Like, he could have done another take. This was the best one. You know that they did, like, 50 for, like, these 3 lines, and they're like, I guess it's fine. He's got to go to bed now.
They couldn't, even after, like, we don't have all day, man. All right, just take the best one, compile it. Yeah.
It's okay, because... I mean, Tom Hanks is doing his job of softening the blow of what a bumbling retard this guy is, so it's all good. Tom Hanks will take care of it.
There's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together.
Yeah, so literally we are living in a time where, I don't know, I think if we've gotten to the point where we need Tom Hanks to come out and speak for the White House to make people more happy, that should show you, like, it gives you the warm feels deep down, because Tom Hanks, father, disappointed father of the country, is saying it, but it's like, why did you need this? Like, when you look back in the annals of history, how many presidents were bringing out, like, actors and stuff to give their speech for their ads and shit like that?
Well, the problem with their plan, right, to replace the waning credibility of the government, if it ever had any, with Tom Hanks is the idea that Tom Hanks still has credibility. Right. I mean, as people's trust in celebrities and them pushing stuff goes down, was he also on the flight log? I thought he was one of the names.
Pretty sure. And there's been theories around the man for a while based off of some weird I guess patterns in his behavior and patterns on his Instagram of posting like weird code about like taking pictures of children's clothing left around in different weird locations. It might be nothing, but there's a lot of theories around the guy.
Though, right? Yeah. It's like bringing Tom Hanks at this point to add credibility. It would almost be like if Biden picked Kamala Harris as his VP to add to his credibility. Oh wait,
exactly. Yeah.
This is like nice try, but
desperate attempts like this. Like we were talking about, you were talking about something earlier, and the point that I was going to bring up, it might have been the point that I lost actually, was like the thinking that this is going to get hand jobs is where I'm going with this. Is that this is getting worse to some degree, but at the same time, I look at it as like stuff like this. If you need to put out propaganda, if you need to push so hard at propaganda, it gives me more hope, because it's like when you're desperately flailing, the metaphor I keep using is, I mean, these people are basically flailing retards at this point. Like they've lost all their credibility and they're just flailing. But that while that's amusing on one hand, on the other hand, it's like, you know, who's more scary? Just a retard
dangerous.
Who's telling you lies, or a flailing retard with retard strength? Like they still have the power.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that was you that used retard strength previously, right? Yeah, on a preset. That's right. That analogy's really good. Yeah. I've seen that in action too. That's no joke. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, I'm with you. It's like it's awesome to see them panic, but they're kind of at their most dangerous. They're a wounded, cornered animal that may spring back and do something even crazier. So we'll see. But maybe this is why we should go for the kill now and just keep hammering them. Like, do not let them ever forget that we know and we're watching, and none of us, or at least more and more of us, aren't buying their shit anymore.
We know, and they know that we know, and we know that they know that we know, and they know that you know the thing. Yeah, we all know it. Like the emperor is declothed, he's dethroned almost. He's sitting there naked with a red ass, and we're just spanking him. That's what we do here. That's what we do. That's all we can do is laugh at the king. That's the way to. That's the way to get him out of power. I mean, they still have the actual literal power, but there's no better way to. Damage the credibility of these people than by laughing at them. And when they come out and try to do damage control, and they bring a literal joke in this Tom Hanks bit, like a thing that has been joked about, that maybe one day we would be so desperate as the government of the United States that we would have to bring Tom Hanks in to clean it up for us, that we're there. We are there now, and it gives me hope. But Jack, are you more black-pilled or white-pilled at this point?
You know, I think they have their equal and opposite reactions. Like it's like the dark side and the light side of the force. You know, it's like they as things get more black-pilled and crazy and scary, the white pill rises to meet it and match it and give you as much hope too, because the more you see how much right, like you're saying, these people are they're idiots. They're evil and they can do a lot of damage and harm, but they're also really laughable and their power is fake. It's all in here. They're just trying to keep us from realizing that they're nothing. They have nothing. They just have their illusions, their magic tricks. Peel back the curtain. It's just some guy,
Yeah.
And we're Toto yapping at the curtain. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Biden making terrible decisions. I don't think Biden cares about Ukraine. I think Biden's doing what he's told. I don't think Biden cares about any of this stuff, and he's just a puppet mouthpiece, and that's the scariest part about it. And that's the thing. If there's something that makes me black-pilled, it's like we don't even really know. We don't even really know who's pulling the strings. It's definitely not Biden who's calling the shots around here. I don't think it's Nancy Pelosi either. I think it's it goes above and beyond that. I don't know if I go as far as to say like literal Illuminati shadow government, but there are people who are making these decisions. They were making the decisions for Donald Trump, and they're still making the decisions for Joe Biden. And I'm talking like Joe Biden now. But Jack, let's get out of here and get into the after party. Let's talk about some flat Earth shit and some more crazy stories. But
yeah.
Are you still good on time?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's flatten the curve.
Nice.
The real curve.
We'll do it in less than 14 days too. Jack.
That's right.
If you have any final thoughts on anything we've talked about today, if you have any final thoughts on teasers for Flat Earth or anything like that, final words for the people, and tell them where they can find all your shit, go ahead and take it away.
Oh man, you'll find me on the platforms. I got to get on more of them, but Facebook and stuff for sure. JackCaseyBooks.com to have a good laugh and make fun of the system with WWIII. Get yourself triggered. Royal Green series is just great soul food journey of epic fantasy proportions. And yeah, when it comes to, as we all keep taking larger and larger red pills and they get harder and harder to swallow, don't let the fact that things are fucky and weird discourage you. I think, like I said, the more strange this world turns out to be, including its shape and what we're in and what's going on, I think it should be reassuring in the end that, things are going to get better one way or another. And whether it's in this life or the next, I'm not sure, but I think there's, we'll have the last laugh, but we're also laughing now. So we'll laugh now and be laughing at the end when this is all done.
Yes, we'll be like the Joker laying after he falls off the building, just laughing as we're dead. I'm cool with it. It's better than the alternative. But thank you, Flat Tard, Simple Jack. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Everybody go check out Jack at JackCaseyBooks.com and go out and be yourselves and have fun as the world ends, because that's all that we can do. I mean, know what's happening, know what you believe, know why you believe it. Do your own research. I know Don Lemon doesn't want you to. He thinks you're stupid if you think for yourself. I think the opposite. I think that you're stupid if you don't, especially at a time where the people who tell you what is don't even know what they believe, and they've made that clearer than ever, over and over again. So go out, do your own research, and most importantly, live your life, have fun, because this might get worse, it might get better, but either way, what are you gonna do? Cry about it? I don't know. Maybe next week. Tune in Wednesday, though. We're going to be talking to Dave Smith, the coward comedian Dave Smith. He's going to be coming on the show at 7:30 Corn Time. Tune into that. And yeah, we'll see where this thing goes. I'll keep you guys posted. Until then, question everything, stay uncomfortable, and hang in there. Peace out.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out and help us change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/thesystemsdown for bonus episodes of the show every single week. Until next time, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. GoulashMedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.